Hey guys, it's Matt Greer, realtor in the Phoenix area. I wanted to do this quick video, unscripted, real fast, just because I've been getting some questions about it, and I recently heard some beliefs that people had about this that really concerned me. So I wanted to talk about the foreclosure process in Arizona and what you can do to avoid foreclosure, or at least get out and save your equity. All right, so what I heard that just really worried me and why I'm making this video was someone had been watching the news and they were talking about foreclosures, and really they heard two things. First was that foreclosures were up year over year, and that means everything's just gonna fall. And first off, I just want to say that yes, of course they are up year over year, because last year we weren't able to have foreclosures. There weren't any. So one foreclosure and they've already gone up. Now, every market in pretty much every time, unless they completely outlaw foreclosures, you're gonna have foreclosures. They're just something that happens. They are unfortunate, but they happen. Now, the next thing they said, and what was really scary to me, was they told me that they couldn't be foreclosed on because they have too much equity, and frankly, that is the farthest thing from the truth. Okay, how much equity you have does not matter. What matters is, are you making your payments? If you stop making your mortgage payments, they will foreclose on you. It doesn't matter if it's the last payment. If you don't make it, they will foreclose on you. Okay, so let's talk real quick about the process in Arizona, how it goes. Arizona is actually very straightforward. There are two foreclosure processes. Today we're going to talk about the non-judicial, sorry, that's a hard word, foreclosure process. And that's a 90-day process. And this is what most banks will use when they do a foreclosure on you. What happens is you stop making your payments. When this happens, they don't just immediately go and file foreclosure on you. Banks have their own guidelines for how long they'll let you miss payments, as well as there are some federal guidelines that make them wait before they can start the process as well. So what happens is when you stop missing the payments, you enter into a period called pre-foreclosure. Now, this is just a name that it's been given, and what will happen is there will be a notice of default that's sent to you from your bank that says, hey, you missed your mortgage payment. On top of that, your bank's gonna call you, and they're gonna try and work out a way for you to pay. Obviously, first they're just gonna call and ask for the money. If you don't have it, talk with them. Okay, the bank is in the business of giving out money that people pay back. So you'll find that they will work with you. And so don't be afraid to call them. Back in the day, if you went to the bank and said you lost your job, they could call the note due. They can't do that anymore, okay? The banks want to work with you so that they can get their money back eventually, okay? So don't be afraid to reach out during this period. Now, after that time frame has passed, where it's been long enough where you haven't been making your payments, they start the actual foreclosure process. And the way that works is they go file the foreclosure. They have an attorney that works for the bank. He goes and files the foreclosure forms with the court. They send you a notice. They send it out to the property, and they'll post it, and they'll let you know that they have started the foreclosure process. Now, during this time, some of the things that they're going to do after they started, because they have 90 days, or I should say you have 90 days, to bring your mortgage up to date. Or come to some sort of agreement with the bank, whether you restructure, refinance, whatever. Like I said, you want to be talking to your bank during all this. You have 90 days, because on the 91st day, they're going to go ahead and sell that house. I mean, whether you want them to or not, they're going to sell that house so that they can get their money back. But during this time frame, what they're going to do is they're going to post it. They post it in like a newspaper of general circulation. They'll go ahead and post that there's going to be a trustee sale, which is where the attorney that they hired basically is able to activate the deed of trust that you signed when you took the mortgage, and basically gives him the power to go ahead and sell the house on the bank's behalf so that they can get their money back. Now, during these 90 days, if you can't get that money, what happens, like I said, on the 91st day, they have that trustee sale. Now, if you're watching this because you want to try and buy foreclosures, just know, if you go to these sales, they are cash sales. Okay, you can't show up and apply for a mortgage. You got to bring cash. Without that, they will not sell it to you. Now, when this happens, generally they sell the house for exactly what you owe if they sell it to someone. Now, if no one buys it, what ends up happening is the trustee basically buys it on behalf of the bank that wrote you the loan, and now that bank owns it. And frankly, this is the last thing the bank wants. They are not in the business of real estate, they are in the business of money. And so for the banks, it's a real bummer. And so what they're gonna do is they're gonna take that home, they're gonna process it, and then they're gonna resell it. Now, when they put them back on the market, what happens is then you can buy them with a mortgage. But I will say, this doesn't happen overnight. It's not like they had the foreclosure sale and then the next day they put it up for sale. These banks take a while. I think the national average right now is like 3 years before the home gets resold by the bank, before they even put it up for sale. So don't think that, just because I don't have the cash to go buy it at the auction, I'll just buy it the next day. It's the farthest thing from the truth. It takes a while. So that's the foreclosure process in a nutshell. Just remember, you're in pre-foreclosure until they file. Once they file, you have 90 days. On the 91st day, they sell your home and you're out. Now, the problem with this, if you're a homeowner, especially after the past 2 years where homes have gone up in price so much, you have a lot of equity, okay? Now, that equity is yours. And the other thing is, up until that 91st day, you can sell the home, okay? Now, there's a few other things that you can do. And obviously, I don't sell homes to people hoping they'll foreclose. I hope none of my clients ever foreclose. And I do my best not put them in that position. I've never had a client foreclose, and I'm actually pretty proud of that. But what I want is, if you want to live in your home, I want you to be able to keep it. And so what I recommend is that you're smart about it, okay? Sometimes you just got to be honest with yourself. If you lose your job and you're unable to replace it, and you're just not able to make your mortgage because of that, you kind of see it coming, right? A lot of people will see it coming, they'll live in denial, and they'll wait to the last minute, and then they'll lose the home to foreclosure, okay? But I have people come to me who, they lose their job and they're just like, hey, I don't know how I'm gonna afford this home now. I took a serious pay cut, or just completely laid off. I need to figure something out. First thing I recommend you do, talk to a financial advisor, okay? If you want to keep the home, talk to a financial advisor, because they probably have some ideas that could help you out. And they might want to rework some of your finances to make it work better. They might tell you to refinance the home. Financial advisors are a very underutilized tool in this situation. So don't write them off completely. You should absolutely talk to them. Now, the next professional that you can speak to is an attorney. Attorneys can help you out, but at the end of the day, you're still gonna have to make those mortgage payments. So keep that in mind. Now, last is me. I'm a real estate agent. I work with people. I've helped people who are going into foreclosure sell their home so that they could save that equity. Now, what I mean by that is, let's just say your home, you have a mortgage and your current balance, let's just say, is $250,000. And you've had the home for a while, it's gone up in value, you've been making your payments, but that home was worth $500,000. So you just take that $500,000, you subtract that $250,000 loan, you get $250,000, that's your equity. That's your money, okay? So what I recommend is, when you have someone who just can't keep making the payments, it happens. Like, unfortunately, life can take some very negative turns, and this is one of them for sure. What we do is we go ahead and we list that home for sale. Now, the best thing you can do in this situation is list it as early as possible, okay? Because once that foreclosure notice has been filed, everyone knows, okay? So like, for example, if I'm writing an offer on a property and I see they're in foreclosure, I know that they're probably more willing to give price breaks or concessions, which is an allowance where the seller pays something for the buyer. I know that because they got to sell that home so that they can save what they can. So that's why it's better that if you're going into foreclosure, you come as early as possible, right? If you're in that period where you're in pre-foreclosure, where you're like, I'm going to start missing the payments and I just don't see how I'm going to get this back, that's when you want to reach out, you want to call, we want to start the process, because we want to get that home marketed and we want to get that home sold as quickly as possible, just so that you can save that equity, so that you have less missed payments on your credit as well. And then you just take that equity. If you have to, you go rent for a year. If you had a pay cut, you can probably buy a home that's less expensive, or you could take that equity and roll it into another home. So a lot of times you just got to get out of that particular mortgage. That mortgage is just too expensive now. You got to find a less expensive one, or you might just have to rent for a while. But don't lose your equity. Keep your equity. Now, the other thing that you want to keep in mind, and why I say the earlier you come, the better, is time on market, okay? Right now, it's currently November 2022. The market has absolutely slowed down a little bit. Homes are taking a little bit longer to sell. So we're seeing homes that are sitting for 2-3 months. In some areas, that's totally common. And if you're in one of these areas, you got to keep in mind, a foreclosure's already been filed, and there's an average of 3 days or 3 months on market for each home that sells. We're going to have to do something to really get your home sold before that, okay? So that's where the marketing really comes into play. We market the home very aggressively. We get it in front of as many people as we can so that they come and see the home, just because the more showings we have, the more likely we are to get an offer. And I mean, if we can get multiple offers, that's awesome. If you wait too long, we might have to do other things to entice buyers. We might have to drop the price. Now, that $500,000 home, like if you came to me a week or two before you were finally going to be foreclosed on, we'd probably have to list it in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. Get you out with $100,000. Whereas if you would have come to us 5, 6, 7 months ago, we could have listed it at full price. Just because we're going to have to get someone who's a cash buyer who feels like they're getting a good deal, and it's probably going to be an investor. Okay, and that leads me to the next thing. When you're going into foreclosure, you're going to get a lot of phone calls and letters from lots of realtors and lots of people offering to buy your house for cash. Now, the real estate agents that are going to be calling you, I'm a real estate agent, obviously. I don't have any hard feelings against them, but it does get annoying. But the cash buyers, what I want you to know about them is how they work. This is something I've worked with a lot of investors, and that's what these cash buyers are, is they are investors. So they're going to see that you have a foreclosure and that you owe $250,000. They're going to try and offer you as close to that as possible. They're going to try and offer you like $250,000 to probably $300,000. And then what they're going to do is, once they buy it from you, they're going to turn around and sell it to another investor who will actually flip it, or they might flip it themselves. Like if the home needs some renovations, they'll do those, or they might take it and turn it into a rental. And they did good because they bought it low, because in real estate, you make your money by buying houses at a low price. And people who are going into foreclosure, they're really targeted because they know they need to sell, and these cash buyers are going to come after you, and they're going to really try and lowball you. And so that's why you want to have a real estate agent on your side who can work to market the home, get people in it, and get you more money for it. The other thing that I see with some of these cash offer people that is really worrisome, and it's not always bad. Sometimes it's great. They do a great job. But what I have seen is where they go and they make you an offer. They say, we'll buy your home cash. But then you find out that person or that company doesn't actually have the cash. What they're looking to do is they're looking to take that contract that they have with you to buy your home, and they actually want to sell that contract to someone. And what they'll do is they'll sell that contract for, I've seen them sell for anywhere from $5,000 all the way up to $100,000, depending on how much equity you have that they're getting, right? What they'll do is they'll take that and they'll sell that contract for, let's just say $10,000. This investor over here pays this cash offer person $10,000. Now that contract's theirs, and they buy the home from you. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to try and do that to get your equity. And usually it costs more than what you would pay a realtor in commissions. Just being honest, guys. And so on top of that, you're just going to get less money. So I strongly recommend that before you take that route, if you're thinking of that route, you talk with a real estate agent. I have buyers and investors, quite a few, who come to me and ask me for these types of deals. And if we get further along to where, we just got to get the home sold, and like I said, if you come to me like 2 weeks before, I'd be reaching out to them. And usually what I'll do is I won't tell them a number. I'll tell them, hey, we got it listed at 500, give me an offer. And we'll get those cash offers from people who will close quickly, and I'll get as many as I can so that we can pick the best one. And that's really the power of having a realtor, because if you were to give it to one of those cash offer people, what they're going to do is they're going to do the same thing, but they're going to be the one taking the equity. So my job is to keep that equity in your pocket. So make sure if you're going into foreclosure, it's a really slow thing that happens when it happens to you. Just make sure you keep your wits about you. And, obviously if you can redeem the loan and keep your home, do it. But if you see yourself kind of going down that slope, feel free to reach out, okay? I'm here to help. If you need referrals to other professionals who could help you out, I've got a few. I'm happy to help. If you want to get like an evaluation, see what your home would sell for, I can help you do that. Wherever you're at in the process, just feel free to reach out. I'm here to help and keep more of your equity in your pocket. Thanks, guys.